G'day, it's Chris Skeen, back again. Who am I? I'm just a passionate guy about putting good stuff. I'm a guy who's passionate about putting good stuff out on the internet. I'm doing a book review called What's on High Performance Habits, a book by Brendon Burchard, and it's how extraordinary people become that way. Now, I've done a few videos previously, so if you want to sort of catch up, I suppose, then go back and watch them, because this video is the 6th habit. It's probably the one that I'm most passionate about and I love speaking about, and you'll see that as I go through it. And it's demonstrate courage. So demonstrate courage. He's put again this into 3 topics, which is a bit of a topic of the book, and he breaks it down to 3 things. And demonstrate courage. It's such an easy thing to talk about for myself. I'll tell you that, but it's probably the toughest sometimes. Might be easy for me to talk about, still tough for anybody, myself included, sometimes to demonstrate that courage. It's not normal for a human being to be courageous and get out there into that fear zone. We like to be in a comfortable zone, fat and happy, especially in Australia. Look, it's the last habit on here. There are some other skills that he talks about, but it's the last habit and the last one I'm going to talk about. And the 3 points are 1, honour the struggle. I'll get to that in a minute. The second one, share your truth and ambitions. And the third one is find someone to fight for. So a great quote that I read in here was, courage is resistance to fear. It is mastery of fear, but it is not the absence of fear. So certainly people have courage. Doesn't mean they're fearless, doesn't mean they don't feel fear. It's just that means that they are kind of resistance to it, and they can master that fear, and they know how to, they know when their body's feeling fear, and they're courageous enough to go forward anyhow. So it's not the absence of it. Now, as a football player / coach and an ex-military man, it's easy for me. I've got so many courageous stories of other people and my life in those areas. And we used to refer to courage in the military or in sport as having ticker. You got some guts, big heart, going in hard when the risk of getting hurt was pretty high, almost inevitable. But you went in hard anyhow. And that's all right for the person who's a military or in a sporting team or something, but for the average person who's not in the military, which is probably the majority of people, maybe who are watching this, how else do you look at it? So here's a great way to think of a courageous life, and the way Brendon describes it. He says, and I'll quote Brendon in the book, I think of courage as taking a determined action to serve an authentic, noble, or life-enhancing goal in the face of risk, fear, adversity, or opposition. So I'll read it again. Brendon quotes, I think of courage as taking determined action to serve an authentic, noble, or life-enhancing goal in the face of risk, fear, adversity, and opposition. So the big little points in this is noble or life-enhancing, because you could say that a suicide bomber, for instance, is courageous, he's courage because of what he's doing, but he's clearly not noble or life-enhancing. A robber robbing a house, he's got some guts to climb through someone's window or whatever, rob a house, but that ain't noble or life-enhancing. Won't even talk about what those type of people are, but a courageous person is someone who is determined to serve an authentic, noble, or life-enhancing goal. I love it, the way he's described it. So look, he brings this, and I've got a couple of notes here. I'm not trying not to read them, but I had to write a couple of things down because it's such a good topic, all right? And he breaks this into 2 more points. And with courage, the 2 previous habits become the 2 previous habits we talked about in the book, which were increase productivity and develop influence. With courage, they become easier. So think about what the 2 previous videos maybe I did, which were increase productivity, so action, getting out there and doing it, and developing influence, you need courage. So this brings it all together. Now, back to the first point that he was talking about, which is honour the struggle, or embrace the struggle. Having courage that when there is a struggle, it's time to step up. And a good way to think of a struggle is this: the struggle I'm facing is necessary. And in summoning me to show up, and it's summoning me. So this is how Brendon described it. The struggle I'm facing is necessary, and it's summoning me to show up, be strong, and use it to forge a better future for myself and my loved ones. So 2 thoughts around that. Again, in the military, we used to say embrace the suck, embrace the tough times, embrace this, it's crappy weather, it's crappy this, it's crappy that, embrace the suck. And deal with it, face up to it, and will yourself persevere and rise to the occasion. So embrace the suck, deal with whatever's going on, face it, and will yourself to persevere and rise. That's the military sort of slogan, I suppose, or the way they drummed it into their soldiers. Another way, certainly, or another thought along that lines is that if you're courageous and you stick to it rather than back and back, you will eventually make it through. So rather than reverse, be courageous, you will make it through and you'll get through that fear. People often say, count your blessings. But as Brendan says in here, he reminds us that high performers, remember the purpose of this book, High Performance Habits, high performers tend to count on their blessings. Okay, so they embrace them. Successful people look at failure, look at challenges, and they embrace it. And it sucks, but they know that it's through these things, it's persevere. The second point is share your truth and ambitions. That's right. So the first one was honour your struggle, and the second one is share your truth and ambitions. Now, look again. He talks a fair bit about this, and it's really hard to describe this hard to teach what he's saying in here, but basically in a nutshell, Brendan shares in this chapter a lot of examples on ways to be courageous and be our true selves, pursue our dreams without restriction, and to share our ideas and dreams with others. So share your truth and ambitions with others is what this section's all about. He talks about how high performers do this consistently and actually habitually. Again, they make it a habit. They will talk their dreams and they'll share it with others. They'll be courageous by telling the world what they're passionate about. What I'm passionate about, helping people, teaching people. There's a better way, put good stuff in your head. That's what high performers do. They don't worry too much about what other people think, and they know that if they put it out there and they tell people, it keeps them honest. They're courageous in how they do that. So point 3 is find someone to fight for. We will do more for others than for ourselves. And in doing something for others, we find our reason for courage and our cause for focus and excellence. Now again, back to a military or a sporting example or a team example maybe, quite often, and when I was coaching, I'd say, if I knew that someone was struggling with their own self-motivation, I'd say, look at your mate next to you. Forget about yourself for a second and do it for him. You're in a big game. Do it for the team. As a military example, I know in being in that role and was not so much a leader when I was in the army, but being as a subordinate, that's the word I was looking for, it's been a long time, then you are taught to look at your soldier next to you, he's the fella, you've got to get out of this mess, and be less selfish and think about the people around you. Now, again, if you haven't got any military experience or you're not in a sporting environment, then what Brendan shares in this book is that generally high performers have pretty much a couple of people, but the majority of the time it's one person. They always have a person they do it all for, whether it be, a Olympic athlete who's doing it for their mum, or some reason or a parent who took them to everything for so many years, 10, 15 years of training, and, they're doing it for my folks who took me to all this stuff, or, whatever reason it is. But he makes an important point in here that if you're a young person, for instance, and you're watching this, society, you see so many videos and YouTubes and stuff, and they say, find your life purpose, go out there and find what you're passionate about. And look, what he's saying in here is you don't normally have to look that far. Your purpose might be somebody who is actually very close to you. It might be someone you are actually right next to you, or someone who's put so much effort into you, and you don't need to go and find your life purpose. You've got a vehicle perhaps, or something that you're doing, and your purpose or the reason you're doing it could be for someone very close to you. That's what he's trying to say. And generally, high performers from all the studies, and I remind you again, he wrote this book because for 20 years he studied high performers and thousands of people in the best of their field, and did tests, did questionnaires, and recorded all the answers, and then worked out all the statistics and brought it all back to this is what the majority of high performers all have in common, these 6 habits. So, that's the the third point on courage, and I'll remind you again, it was honour the struggle. So embrace the struggle, embrace the suck, share your truth and ambition. So go tell them your friends, family, and be passionate about what you're talking about, and then find someone to fight for. So have a reason to do it. Now, I'm going to finish off this, basically my whole book review with an awesome quote, I believe. I read this and probably it brings home, so I've got a few notes here, it brings home what I'm passionate about. And he says in here, where are we here? The kind of courageous acts that you are proud of at the end of your life are those in which you find uncertainty and real risk, with real stakes, when doing something for a cause or person beyond yourself without any assurance of safety, reward, or success. So in me doing these videos, in Brendan writing this book, I got no idea what's going to go on. He had no idea how good this book would be. He just put his passion, heart and soul into it, and I'm trying to just relay that to you. So I'll read that again, because this is so good. If you pick up one thing in all these videos and you go, all right, I've got the 6 habits, what do I do? Have some courage, the kind of courage, acts, courageous acts that you are proud of at the end of your life. You're on your deathbed. You're maybe not on your deathbed. Maybe you just got your last few years. I don't know. Maybe you don't even know. You don't know what's around the corner. But those acts that are those in which you faced uncertainty and real risk. So it mightn't be doing a book review or writing a book. There's no real risk. Well, not really. But it could be something else. It could be stepping out. So where you faced uncertainty and real risk with real stakes. We're doing something for a cause or person beyond yourself. Again, doing it for someone else maybe, without any assurance of safety, reward, or success. Saying you're doing it anyhow. You're doing it because you're passionate about it. You're not doing it because it's safe, or you're hoping to get paid for it or rewarded for it. You're just doing it because you're passionate about it. And high performers do that habitually. That's the big point here. But for the end of this book is they have habits that they're courageous about, and they do with passion. The 6 habits again. Seek clarity, generate energy, raise necessity, increase your productivity, get out there and do some action, which the last one, the courage, helps you with, and develop influence to be able to understand people and understand what makes other people tick so you can help them. It's not about you. Be courageous to do it for somebody else. All right, that's the book in a nutshell, pretty much. The last chapter, he's got a thing here about beware some traps, the number one thing. So there's a couple more things in the end, some skills that help you stick to these habits. But essentially, the book is about the 6 habits of courageous, high-performing people. You want to be one of those people? Read the book or just watch the videos a few times, because I tried to sum it up best I can. I'm passionate about it. I love it. Go on you, Brendan. If you ever get to watch this, thank you very much. You're affected millions of people around the world. There you go. Have a good day.